Okay, cool. And how does and so that's the all access. I'm seeing you're over Haynes Pro, so you're now going to show us what the difference between Haynes Pro and Haynes Access is. Okay, good.
And this is a fantastic product that's relatively new to Australia, and we're fortunate to have access to this info. So we can come in here into the Haynes Pro. As you can see here, a lot of European vehicles, a lot of newer vehicles, and this is one of its strengths. We always know that getting information on some of these newer European cars is always an issue.
Yes.
But now we do have access. So we can get in here and we can do a range of different things to go and drill down by, as an example, make, model, series, petrol, diesel, into that particular vehicle. And at this point here, we can, before we've actually identified, we can always go show ID location. So it tells us, where our VIN numbers are, engine numbers are, that type of information. We can also, if I just came back to the home page, had we know, the engine code or the VIN number, especially on all of the Europeans, we can go straight in. So if it was 2U ZFE, ZD30, in this case, G4FD, which now tells me it's a little 1.6 litre on a various Hyundais or Kias in there. So, and I'm just going to I'll pick on this car because this is my daughter's car. So if anything ever goes wrong with that, I know where to come now. So, so this is a home page for all vehicles.
Yeah. Okay,
so we can go straight into our service schedules or repair times, most common things, the fault codes. I'm going to come back to this. And then SmartPAC, as you were asking earlier, TSBs, recalls and cases, they're industry verified common faults. So these are known. Haynes Pro has investigated them and verified them as well. Okay. So we can come into these. So as an example, so we click here on the left-hand side, maintenance. So let's just say, Peter, this is the very first time that you're seeing an i30 come into your workshop, and you're about to do a service or repair, and you want to know, what are some of the things I need to be aware of in this? So I can come in here and click on maintenance procedures. I'm going to disconnect the battery or replace it. So I want to know what all my relearns are.
Okay.
Or what precautions I need to do when I'm disconnecting it and then reconnecting it in there. Now, if it was a VW or an Audi with a steering angle sensor, it'd have that in there as well, where we'd have to just drive the car 100 odd meters dead straight, and recalibrate itself. Or it might have been the car's got electric handbrake, emergency release, or how do I actually wind the pistons back in to do a pad change. Once again, all these diagrams expand, so you make it nice and easy.
Yeah, right.
See. So we might have then also, depending on the vehicle, this list could have 10, 15 different things on there. So it might be keys and remotes, or if it's stuck in park, service indicator resets, tyre pressure monitoring. If it was a Mercedes, that didn't have a dipstick, it'd tell you how to use the steering control, so check your fuel fluid levels.
Oh, that's good. Yep.
If it's a hybrid, stop start, how to disconnect and reconnect those systems as well. If it had airbag suspension like a Disco or a Ranger, how to disable those systems as well. So if you had it up on a two-post and you inadvertently hit the ignition, it wouldn't blow the blow the bags up, that sort of thing. So once again, really good information in there. Service schedules. Service item intervals is just a real quick summary of when those consumables are due. So nice, easy reference, if your customer's on the phone saying, my spark plug's due, you can quickly look in here without having to go through all the different service schedules and say, oh, no, it's not they're due at 120 or whatever it's due. But as an example, let's have a look at 105,000 service. So what it does, it gives me a standard time. Now, these standard times are based off OE times.
Now, can we alter those times? Is there a variation in time so we can add a percentage to those times? Yeah. I mean, we all know, and this has been a topic of discussion on the Garage Network, that sometimes they can be quite generous and other times they
very skinny,
quite skinny on, and you might have an hour job that very well takes 2 or 3 hours or whatever the case may be, but you can. alter that in percentage wise. Fantastic.
And this, as we get into it, it'll show you there's a couple of different ways we can do that. So,
yeah.
So in here, what it does is at this point, parts required. So it's just oil filter at this point. But then I've got a list of activities here that I might do because I look at the condition of the vehicle and say, I need to go and do the fuel filter. So I can add that on. And what it does is it'll add the fuel filter into that list.
Okay.
And if I scroll back up, it's now added that extra time that we had there and totaled it up. So at this point here, just as an example, I can then click on print. So I can do it as a job card or also as a customer quote if I wanted to.
Okay.
It'll, if I've got all the details in here, and I'll hit print, what it does is it'll generate a PDF in here, and then whether I'm printing it or emailing it or whatever I need to do in there. So it's got that as well.
Yeah, right. That's interesting.
Yeah. Now then, as we keep going through the service, all the things we need to do. So from engine down, it's now got all of the service items that we need to do. So we're clicking through, we're checking everything we've got to do, and we can click off here and all that. But as an example, I can then go and add any of these items as well.
Yep.
Click through. Now, as you see, there's multiple little icons on the right-hand side. So if we clicked on that, it'll take us through the lubricants and fluids page. Depending on what transmission we have, it'll tell us what transmission fluid it is, our capacities, our drain and fill locations on there as well.
Yeah, right. Can we just go through that again, Andre, if that's okay? Because I find that really interesting. So so you've got the information at the ready. So if I'm doing a drain and refill or a transmission service, because it's specified on that, I can quite simply click and it will then show me the procedure for it.
Yeah, it'll give us the specs of the fluid there. Right. Fuel and drain locations. It will then also give us, just in another section, the actual procedure, whether it's just a level check or we're actually doing a drain and refill there as well. So, and then as we go through the rest of continue going through the service, whatever it may be, you'll also see here, it'll say follow up. So they're things to prompt us to go and have a look at. We might have been looking at the boots on the CV joint or whatever it is, but it might say follow up and replace them. So we can then go and click on that and add. It'll then add it to our job card. One thing you'll see, these blue time or blue highlighters. That's a factory time once again.
Okay.
And then we continue going through. We'll look at our brake specs. So once again, we've got the icon of the verniers here. We click on that. It'll take us through to the adjustment data page of our various rim sizes, and then give us our disc and rotor and pad thicknesses or drum and linings and all that in there as well. So nice, as you can see, it's nice and easy to navigate through when we're looking for that information.
Yeah, absolutely.
And as we keep going through the service, we might be engine oils, click on that link through to there. If there was pollen filters and or service resets, it'd have it in here as well.
And it gives you, I just noticed it gives you capacity as well, fuel capacity.
Yep.
Just really quite simply there. So
straight up.
That's good.
And also then our sump plug torque in there as well, and same with the filter. So whole range of information that we'll need. And then obviously, as I said, it'll have the service indicator reset and the procedure there, step by step to do that.
Yep.
Maintenance forms. Okay, we might be doing a vehicle inspection. And we just need to mark out where any damages on the vehicle in there, or we might have other reports that we need to go and do as well. So nice and handy information. Okay, when we get into repair data, so this is our more mechanical aspect of things. So we've got some filters. So if we just wanted to see engine or transmission or steering and suspension info, we can click on that and it'll filter it down. But so our adjustment data and lubricants and fluids is all that lube and tune based information, tech data that we have. So in here, depending on the vehicle, it might have things, like our firing orders, our coil resistances, valve clearances, if they're adjustable and all that, fuel pressures, engine compressions, oil pressures, our drive belt layouts in there once again, and if there was multiple ones in there, and then anything as we continue down on the left-hand side here, depending if the car's got air conditioning and what system it's got in here, it'll give us our gas capacities and also our oil pipes in there as well, and the links to taking us through to that particular page to give us that information. Our torque settings, once again, throughout the engine, let's say, and our sequences, and if it was we had a bottom end sequence, it'd have it in there as well.
Okay.
So, and sometimes general information about different systems in the vehicle. Then we've got lubricants. So it gives us a list of, depending on our conditions, the oil weights, and if it was, if it was a diesel, whether it had a DPF, it'll nominate what oils we have there as well. Our transmissions, our aircon, depending on the vehicle, we might have transfer cases and all that in there as well.
So all the information's pretty much at the ready. So the all access is more the I suppose the Haynes manuals book form, but now electronic form, and this has actually a little bit more information again.
Oh yeah. So then we've also got our repair times in here. Once again, based off OE. So we pick our system in here. So let's have a look at our engine. And then we can go and pick our subsystem. So let's say we're doing the timing chain on it. Once we've got our times, factory times in here. So if I came down here, I'm going to remove and refit the timing chain. So once it tells me what's included and some follow-ups on there. Have a look at the front crank seal. Maybe it was a V-dub engine. Tell you to go and have a look at the water pump. And things like that. Once you get here, difficult timing chain removal, so we can go and add half an hour to it. But when we do print off or get to that point where we've got all our details in, we can then manually go in and manipulate and add a 5%, 10% variation on the time, on each individual activity as well. So, but so what it's done here. So if I look at this and I'm without thinking, we're going to pull the timing cover off. It comes up and says the default time has been changed because that's already included it in this job here. So instead of just thinking, going, 3 hours for this, 3.4 hours for that, it's gone, you're doing these jobs in the one process, so it amalgamates the time and gives you a more accurate time. It as well. So very, once again, building up that quote for the customer, very, built a nice accurate quote. And then as we get up to here, I can then go and add it to my cost estimate. In here, we're going into that. Now, this is where we can go in and add our margin. 5%. Cool. We can add a margin to it as well. And then previously we would have gone in and put in our labour rates in there as well, so it would automatically start to calculate your pricing and your parts and all that. And we can save it or email it to the customer.
Yeah, that's really good. Yeah, see, I can see where you can change your rate there as well. That's good.
Yeah. So when we come back into our main page, once again, so repair manuals, this list of activities, once again, changes depending on the vehicle. But we might have had auto trans. So in here, it'll give us our level check procedure, step by step, and then also our drain and fill procedure in here as well. Then all the diagrams expand and make it easier to see. But now it gives us maybe our talk settings on there, and any special tools we may need as well to do that. And you can, we've got the quick index on here. We just want to go straight down to find the talk settings. We can come in on there. So navigation is really easy. It's like anything. It's just learning a new tool. Be it a new scan tool or a new phone. You just got to take a little bit of time to learn the navigation. And with that, and I'll come back to this, is that we do offer online training. We have multiple training sessions. At the moment, they are we're weekly, and you can join it to any and all of them, and come in and just learning to get the most out of Motortech, learning how to use it as quickly and as efficiently as possible, and asking questions. And so we're here to help.
But you've also got the tech line, don't you? So if I'm on this and I get stuck as to where I need to go, I can just pick up the phone and ring you guys, and you can sort of run me through that as well. Okay, cool.
So, we do the technical product support. So if you're not that you're installing, because this is a website, so it's just a favorite on your browser. But if you've got it running on a desktop, and then you've gone and bought a new tablet, and you can't get it to work on that. If it's an Android-based one, usually pretty easy, and depending on what browser you use, sometimes it's a matter of changing some settings in there to allow pop-ups.
Okay, cool.
So quite easy. We help you with that. But also, you may be looking at that particular vehicle, needing some information, and we've looked at whatever we need, and you go, okay, I've got to that point, but there's something different about this vehicle, or there's something else that I need, because no one online system has everything. And that's why you've got that resource of that library where you can call in and say, hey, I need some more information about pulling this transmission apart, to strip it down. You're not going to find that online. But we can give you, depending on the vehicle and the transmission, we can break that down and send you out exploded views, procedures, or whatever it is to strip and rebuild that transmission. So, So, depending on the vehicle, so we might have had clutch and or gearbox removals, door trims, the timing chains on this. So what it does here, parts required, that might be the chain, the guide, the tensioner, whatever else, might be a kit in there. If there's any warnings and recommendations about it in here, you might have things like, if it's a VW engine, replace the water pump while we're in there. And as you can see, step-by-step removal. And, so we can come in here and see our timing marks and chains. As I was saying before, some guys will interpret this type of information, but other guys, it doesn't quite make sense to them. They prefer to go and have a look under a Haynes manual.
And then they can see the pictures.
Have a real photograph of that, that system. So as I said, multiple ways to find that information out, and then step-by-step installation on it as well, and then all our talk settings in there as well. Now, if there was any specific tools in here, it'd note it down here as well, including their part numbers. So if you needed to hire or buy them or source them, you know exactly what you're looking for as well. And then Tech Drawings is an online library of exploded views of components and or systems that gives us our talks in there. If I just pull up something in the system here.
Okay, cool.
So all the different components, and if any of these fasteners were torque to yield, it'd note it down here, or if it needed Loctite or anti-seize or whatever, it'd note it here. But as an example, I'm going to pull the struts out. It now opens over here and gives me the times to do that. So helping me build that accurate quote for the customer. And I can then go and save it to my job card in there as well. So, but also good, if we're talking to spare parts and we're trying to explain that we're after that particular bush or that bracket or whatever it is. So if we needed to, we can always print this off and use that. And also, trying to pull that component out of the car, where's that one bolt that's holding it still in there that we can't see? So,
I think those exploded views are really good, actually. We often get them sent from parts departments, just to get a visual, because sometimes you can't quite get the visual, but it's good. It's good that it's all on here.
Yeah. So electronics. Depending on the vehicle, the number of wiring diagrams that it supports as well. So some of them will have a handful, and some of them will have 20, 30 different ones, and then all the variables in there as well. Okay, but we can also come straight into needing to know where the fuse box and relay box locations are within the vehicle, and then also wanting a layout in here as well. So it tells me where that fuse box is, gives me a layout, and if, as an example, I was looking for that particular fuse, it then goes and highlights it.
Okay.
And also notes what amperage that fuse should be.
Okay, that's awesome.
So, or I might be looking for other components within the vehicle, again, depending on it, where a diagnostic connector is, control units, and I'll show you how that actually works when we get into the actual guided diagnostics component or flow chart in there as well. So you don't need to identify a diagram before you go look at the fuses. But as an example, let's just go and have a look at central locking. So there's a number of different variations. Let's just pick this first one here. So what it does now is it gives me a list of all the components in that circuit.
Okay.
And I'm going to say the front left door lock unit. It will give me an expanded view of the entire circuit in there. Now, as you can see, we've got the wires are actually in colours. So sometimes I'll just change that back to an all black or monochrome. Sometimes it makes it a little bit easier to see. And I'll just scroll in a little bit. You'll now see this red highlighter around D5.
Okay.
Which is our front left door lock unit. I'm looking for the front right one. Click on that. It takes me over to there. So it's interactive. Or I might be going, what's this component here? Highlighted, and it'll then move us over here in our index. So we know exactly what part we're looking at. Now, as I scroll into it, you'll see we've got our wire colors, we've got our pin numbers in there as well. We've also got GF04, GF01, which are our earth component, locations. So we can then, once we know what component we're looking for, we can come back into this prior screen and look at locations. And if I was looking for that particular fuse, I can go and look in that fuse box. I'm looking for, in this case, the BCM. I can scroll down, go find the BCM, and it highlights where it is in the vehicle with that, not so much the part number, but it's identifying number E34. I was also looking for my ground points, and it does have a right-hand drive on a link. They've done an update. And once again, they do updates regularly on this. We have a big quarterly updates. The last update, I think, had about 8,500 articles updated, including new vehicles in there as well. And sometimes you'll just see, you might be on a car today and they've made a minor change overnight, so they can do that sort of stuff as well. So I was looking for GF01, GF02. So once again, I'll click on that, it goes and highlights, where that earth is. So now I know my earths, I know where my BCM, I know where my fuse is. I've got a good diagram. That's what an auto electrician needs.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, and not to disparage the mechanics out there as well. So, but if we're looking at electrical problems, that's what we're after.
Absolutely. Yeah. But it's much more commonplace now, isn't it? And you definitely need this info. So countless times you're sort of looking for a control module, and to be ideal to have this info to know where it is. Otherwise, you're pulling trims apart and all sorts of stuff just to try to find it. Yeah.
It's just such a waste of time in doing that. Okay, SmartPAC. So this is that online library of industry verified common faults, recalls, and TSBs, this is always getting updated. This is what
I'm interested in, because we had a particular instance where there was a complaint from a customer, and it was to do with their wipers intermittently working. And we looked into it. We looked at a TSB, and it had exactly the symptoms, and it turned out to be the case. So it was very, very good that we have access to that. So it's
So in this case here, we've only got 25 articles. Now, if we were looking at a European vehicle, not pointing fingers at the French, the German, or the Italian one,
but there'd be 400.
Exactly. So we've got a range of filters up here. So yeah, I'm looking for something just to do in steering and suspension. Yeah. So now it's whittled it down to 5. So it might be a TSB, noise from the power steering. Yeah. So click on that. Now everything is basically symptom, cause, solution. And many of us, probably most of us, will know this on the Hyundais and Kias, is the little flexible coupling at the end of the steering column into the motor that they wear, and it needs to be replaced. Yeah. So sometimes it'll give us we might have part numbers in there. Sometimes it'll give us a time on it as well. So now that we know what it is, customers complained about the noise when they're steering. We can then go in here. Once again, go back here, find the Hyundai, find the Kia, and go through and get the nice colour photo to remove it. But as an example, I also know that we had an article in this. So this is using our the toolbox. So I-30, and once again, all the different series, all the different chapters, and the number of articles we have for I-30. So there's a Tech Talk article. I can come in here, power steering column noise, tells me what other vehicles it may have affected, a little bit more information, but then I can click on the actual PDF article that we've done for it here. So
that's awesome.
Step by step, what the problem is, removing and refitting the steering column, pulling the motor off the shaft and replacing that component. Now we have our members will contribute to Tech Talk magazines as well. It might be in this particular case it's a parts supplier. It may also have been Denso. They often put information up. So as I said, using all the different drawers of Motortech to service or repair that vehicle that you need to.
It's just making sure you've got the information at the ready or handy. So I definitely think those TSBs are a must now, and that's become part and parcel of our sort of diagnostic pathway. We'll sort of inspect symptom, scan vehicle, check TSBs. In that order. So and then moving forward from there, we try to diagnose. But I definitely think that's got to be part and parcel of your diagnostic pathways.
Yeah, and within this as well, depending on the process you're doing, it might tell you to replace a particular component. So and it won't just stop there. It might tell you that you then depending on the situation, update the software, or it might be you have to install and do a handshake on the vehicle so it knows that it's got a new component in it. So it doesn't just tell you, you just install it. Well, there's some other steps that you need to do. Whether your diagnostic tool has pass through technology on it and it can do that, and you have access to that software, or you may need to go to a dealership or a third-party supplier who can do that for you. At least it's telling you those steps that you need to do. Okay, coming back to the home page. Once again, this fault code box. This is the VACC, the guided diagnostics component. So let's just say, Peter, they've come into you and the customer said, look, hard to start, won't start. The check engine light's on, runs like a chaff cutter. You've got your scan tool out, you've plugged it in, you've come up with P0191.
Okay.
Enter it in here. It goes and interrogates its system and says, okay, we have maybe two variations. Maybe there's a C code or a B code in there. If it was a BM and we'd have 4, 5, and 6-digit code numbers, we'd have a list in here as well. But in this case here, we know it's our fuel pressure. So give me a brief description of what the code is. Ask me to better identify the vehicle. Maybe what management system it's got, is auto, manual, start, stop, all that sort of stuff in there. but it automatically went and interrogated its SmartPAC, and there happened to be an industry verified common fault, a smart case, about that fault code on this particular car.
Yeah, right.
Now, we might have had multiple ones in them. There might have been recalls, there might have been TSBs on it as well. But so if we just click on to understand what this smart case is. So once again, symptom, cause, solution. So it tells us we might have had a couple other fault codes in there, but it talks about the pickup pump in the tank. And solution, okay, through our diagnostic tool, can we activate the pump? Do we see we've got 4.8 to 5 bar fuel pressure, or we've got a pressure gauge on? So that gives us a direction as to what our next step is in our diagnosis. But we know that there's a common fault with the fuel pumps on there. So we just go back up to the top here. And now I've got, sorry, I'm just on someone else's computer, so it's their mouse is a little bit different for me. So now we can go back here into the testing as well. So fuel pressure sensor.
Okay.
Yeah, depending on what came out of testing the fuel pump or the pressure there, we could have gone to the fuel pressure sensor, the control valve, or in this case, we've got no fuel pressure at all. We've tried activating the pump, doesn't work. So we click on this. So now what it does is it gives me a diagram of the fuel pump relay, the main relay, all the other wires in there as well. Down below, I've got my wires in there. Now, depending on the component, we might have some component info, we might have some testing, we might have some graphs of, if there's a coolant temp sensor, temp versus resistance in there as well. We might have scope traces. It just depends on that component in here as well. But I can also have a look here, and this is a new addition to it. So extended wiring diagrams. So I can go in and now see a global diagram of that wiring circuit for the engine management. It still keeps highlighting the fuel pump, but I've got to scroll in to actually see what I'm after. And if one of the good things about here as well is if I'm looking at that particular wire, it's actually showing me where it goes.
Okay. Yep.
So I can see as an example, if I've got a short circuit, I can see that fuse, where else it feeds off to as well. So it's not just isolating, back to that concise one. Yeah. I get to see the bigger picture. So which is really important in diagnosing a short circuit there. But so what it does, first step, have I got 13.2 volts to pin 5 of the fuel pump? Yes or no? So now it says, start or crank the engine. Do I have 13 volts to 87 of the output of the fuel pump relay? Well, at this point, I don't know where the fuel pump relay is, so I can click on green text or on the actual fuel pump relay. It now will take me to a diagram specifically of the fuel pump relay, but I'm also looking for its location. Okay, it's in that fuse box, and there it is there, relay 1.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So now I know where I'm at. And if we just,
and this is all that guided component testing, so it sort of gives you a step by step, so you can sort of run through that quite simply.
Yeah. So here we've gone and said no, we didn't have power at the pump. We found the relay. Now, if I turn around and say that I do have power at the relay, it then says that I've got a broken wire or an open circuit between the pump and the relay. It tells me it goes through a number of connections and might change colours as well. But had I said no, it doesn't, I still don't have power to coming out of the relay, I need to then go and have a look at the fuel pump relay. We're on that page we were before, and I can go through all these steps here. We have 86, we've got 30, but I can see 85 is switched earth out of the ECU on pin B37.
Yep.
I can just click on that. It now gives me a wiring diagram of the ECU, its other main components, relays and all that in there. Once again, I can click on the extended diagram, and I could, if I needed to, go through any of those tests. But once again, I want to know where it is. Takes me through to where it is on the car, but I was also looking for pin B37 now. So I can scroll down here, and just for simplicity, we'll make that there. So it's showing me where it is, both on the plug and on the unit. So now I've got the component, the fuse, the relay, the module, the wires between. Yeah. So as an example, I'm now going to bridge earth into that circuit. Yeah. Relay clicks, pump runs, beautiful. I now think, okay, I may have a problem with wiring to the ECU, so I might be looking at our powers, or maybe our earths, or things like that. I can then go through and do any of those tests that I need to do that. So as you can see, so we've been sitting in the driver's seat. We've had that scan tool plugged in, got a fault code, opened up Motortech, put the I found the car, put that fault code in. In minutes, I now have a diagnostics pathway. I've got some common faults or some hints and tips to take me down to what else to have a look at. And now I've got testing. I know where my relay is. I know where my fuse is. I know where module, what each one does. I've identified that within minutes.
Yeah. No.
So instead of this being let's say an hour's diagnosis and maybe an hour's repair, we've just solved this in 30 minutes. And cars out the door. Next one in. It's all about our productivity.
100%.
And for some of us, the grey hair, looking for information. I wish this was around 20 years ago.
Well, like I said, that Captiva that we did, it brought up quite simply from our pathways the TSB, and it was exactly the symptom, exactly the cause and correction. So we sort of went through that and had that diagnosed and done in a very, very quick amount of time, much quicker than I probably would have done had I've not had the information.
Yeah, I just want to show another. This is one similar vein to that, and this is a member, a VACC member, asked me about it. So we actually went in here. So M9DB was a Ford Focus, and what it had was a current draw on it. Battery kept going flat, and so we just came in here, and it was just a random question. So we navigated, found it here, and so excessive battery discharge. I can't remember whether he had any fault codes or not, but the cause, what it was, is the washer fluid leaking through the pump and then wicking its way up through the loom, to the BCM and rotting it out.
That's incredible.
Yeah. So as an auto leak, we would have been sitting in there pulling fuses out to try and isolate where it is, but to have that information, just go, okay, I'm going to go have a look at this. I've just solved it. I've just saved myself hours of pulling the car apart for no good reason.
Yeah, definitely information is definitely key, I think, moving forward now, and I think it's summed up pretty well with Motortech, because it seems to be all in the one sort of platform, which is really good. So definitely glad that you've run us through all of that. It looks pretty sort of complete. Like you said before, there's some things that it may or may not do, but there's some things that some online platforms may or may not do, but this seems quite complete. So, mate, hats off to you guys. It looks really good.
Yeah. At the end of the day, we're here. As I said, the tech advisory service, we're all qualified technicians. We're here to help. I think you can also think of us, as I said, as that extra technician that offsite from the workshop, but